Ladies and gentlemen, actually only ladies. Why am I saying that? Coach Jerry here. Welcome to the video. So I'm going to give you a kicker before we actually start our mindset call today. I have something really cool, and I'm thinking probably I should just add this lighting as well, just to make everything a little better. All right. So today we have something really fun. So if you're here, let me know if you're here on live or on a replay. Let me know how you're doing in this good start of the week. Today we had not a very good day when it comes to shop calls. We had a lot of enrollment call usually, and we just had a no-show right now. And therefore I said to myself, what do I do? Do I just listen to music, rehearse even more the mindset call, which this time I actually did, or just give some free value inside a group? Of course, the answer is simple. I would just give some free value in the group. And I will remember you to do something with a free value, of course. And that simply means just consume the content, post, answer some question. What we're doing today, I teach you basically how to really make your perfect workout. Okay, so what is about how we're gonna make the perfect workout, and of course we're gonna do that with. Let me know if you're hearing me, by the way, and you're here, perfect. So I'm gonna start sharing the screen in a second here. In fact, I think that I should just, let me see if I can do that right now. Can I just share this? Oh, I think that this is gonna look really weird, but let me just open a new one. We're gonna actually I'm gonna create basically a template for you within less than 30 minutes. We're going to learn how to create your own perfect workout, because obviously I think that once you know the context about things, it's a lot easier for you to be able to do something useful with that. So what we're going to do here, I'm basically going to take Eric Helms, which is a very, very good physiologist and exercise specialist, and I'm going to show you how do we make what are the components of the workout. And in fact, by the way, this is also something that we broke up completely inside, week by week inside the Second Chance program, which is the first iteration of our program. And obviously, you see, Eric Helms created the pyramid of nutrition, the pyramid of exercise. And today we're talking about the pyramid of exercise, obviously. And you can see here on the side, we have adherence, volume and intensity, progression, exercise selection, rest period, and tempo, right? So as you see here, you go from the most important part, which is basically adherence, to the less important one, which is basically tempo, right? The rest and everything like that. So basically, what are the components on a workout, and why is it important for you to understand how does it work? Just basically copying now. I opened the wrong tab before, so I want to make sure that you understand the whole context. This obviously is not only when you do things like advanced training or bodybuilding. This is also like by the way, this is really exercise training 101, something that obviously nobody likes to talk about, because there is always this idea, much like in food, that there is some sort of like special food that is basically, if you don't eat it, is going to be giving you all the benefit, and if you do eat it, it's gonna not allowing you to get the benefit that you should. So of course that's a misconception. It's something that is not happening as we speak. And today we're gonna try to understand, right? So adherence, everybody understand adherence. Adherence means like in nutrition, if you're consistent into something, chances are you will see some feedback. You will get some good feedback from your body. And it doesn't mean results. It doesn't mean like you're gonna have very good outcome. It also could mean that the outcome is gonna suck. But like one thing that I see the most here is like people tend to do something for a week or two, and then where they don't see what they want, when they hopefully they should see, then they kind of like stop, right? And by the way, when it comes to like what I'm doing here, I'm basically unfolding the whole pyramid, and then I'm gonna probably start, posting some, one-step post, which of course you should comment on when I say, do you want this? And then like you should comment, because we love engagement in the group. To what the second chance, week by week look like, right? So, and again, today, with you, like I said yesterday, you can actually win the second chance. All you really need to do is post in a group, right? So you can post about anything as long as you don't spam the group. You can just post about, question. You can post about your own workout. You can post about your own food. You can post about, why you lack for motivation. Anything is good so that you make this community better, but also that we can help you, right? So anybody understand adherence? So if you do something for long enough, eventually you're going to see results, and it's going to be about optimizing, right? The second thing, and this is the most important and out of the whole pyramid, is understand the components about the workout. And the components is simple. It's like there is basically volume, right? Volume and frequency. Volume is like the amount of reps and the amount of sets that you do, right? Like 3 times 10, or 4 times 10. It's an increase in volume. You can also do 3 times 10, and then you did 3 times 12. You also increase in the volume. You increase in the amount of reps. So that's called the volume. The frequency is like, the amount of times you go to the gym, right? And that's going to create what is called progressive overload, right? And of course, also the increase of weights. One of the biggest things I used to do in the past, and if I went back to 20 years ago when I started training and I would do different, it's like, I always because of course there was this idea of being stronger all the time or bigger or whatever. And we always focus on, this week I'm gonna basically put more, weight on my bench, right? And it's like, let's say you did 3 times 10 and you did with 100 kilos, and then like you try 105 or 110, and then maybe you only do 3 times 5, and you're like super, like you felt the burning the day after, but it's like, oh, I feel like there is an improvement. Not necessarily, because obviously if you do 3 times 10, we got with 100 kilos, then we got, 100 kilos times 10. It's like you need to do the math, but then like you only do 5 with 110, you will see that there is that there's not necessarily more kilograms you kind of like weight, like you elevating, right? Meaning like you're not really increasing. Also, to protein synthesis to make your muscle bigger and more functional, is been found that the weight itself, meaning like the load, or which is called basically muscular damage in poor words, is less than, for example, than elasticity, right? Or is also less important than mechanical stimulus, right? So again, it's like, doing more reps, the tempo of the reps and all that stuff is very important. What do you want to be doing essentially? And progressive overload, and more than, like I said, is the kind of like the most important components is volume, frequency, density, which is like density is like the amount of rest that you between sets, whether you do a superset, a single set, a jump set, and of course the frequency, is more times, and then the volume is basically what I just said. Then you need to create what is called progressive overload, and progressive overload means like you basically now we're gonna close this. This is kind of like what you see here. This is an example of progressive overload, right? For the kilos, like I said, 14, 13, 12, you have 15, 16 pounds, right? Or you can also do in kilo, but now it's pound. Same thing, second training session. 40 kilos is always the same thing, or pounds. 14, 14, 12, right? Now we're elevating 1,600 pounds. 14, 14, 13. Now you see, you get the point, right? When you deload, after the 4 week, you want to be deloading. This is meant to kind of like cover your joints a little bit, to kind of like release a little bit. But then when you reload, as you see here, you're using this scheme of progression to always getting stronger. As you see in 6th session here, only the 7th one, this person put 5 pounds more, which is like 2 kilos more, right? So we're all concerned about putting more kilos and more kilos without understanding what we're actually doing. And also, this is why people get injured all the time. Ego lifting is called. Like now, it's being now this term now all the time. So this is kind of like the most important thing, more than the exercise. I keep hearing, oh, which exercise should I do? Well, exercise is on the top of the pyramid. The progression, the components, and the progressive overload is second. Of course, after that, in fact, at some point, you're going to find the necessity for the exercise. And what I thought about showing about that is like, as you see here, adherence, progression, exercise selection, right? It's not the last one on top, but it's not. It's a little bit more in the middle. So like you understand that it's important. I'm going to touch first on the fact what should you do, machine or weight training, like free weights when you're in the gym. Well, easy, right? It's like number one, you want to go buy something you like, by pleasure, by taste, whatever the case is. But essentially, if you're starting off, you probably have very how do you say, you have a better chance of succeeding or doing something good if you just go on machines. If you are in the gym, of course, because if you are at home, it's much better than you get some weights and you do some free weights. But how should you progress? It's like first the machines, because you require less symmetry between the muscle, you require less coordination between the muscle, they also work more isolated, the machines, right? When you do free weights, there is probably a good idea. That's why we do essentially progressive overload inside the app when you do that. And if you're in the program, you can comment here. If you're not, you can also let me know if you want to actually see what the app look like and so forth, right? And basically, let's say you have a squat, deadlift, and then you have some pull-ups, right? You want to be essentially learning the squat before, the technique, therefore maybe just 5 to 10 reps with a weight maybe only like 50% weight, 60%, because it's like you want to be getting used to the technical gist, to the technical skill to avoid hurting yourself, right? And then, of course, as you move forward, as you move on, you want to be kind of like working on elevating more weight for more reps, like I said. And then there is, when you're very advanced, you want to be going into strength, right? I said multiple times, how do we personalize your workout inside the program? Simple. It's like if we're able to see if you are inflamed, and again, I'm going to make an example here. If you are a person that get a bunch of like girl with a lot of cellulitis, so that you only run, that you only eat salad, and then you cannot lose weight, chances are you're inflamed. I don't need to test you with a BIA tonight that you're inflamed. So one thing that you're going to probably have to do in your legs, you're going to not going to have to focus in a lot of lactic acid production exercises, meaning like you're not going to have to do a lot of reps. You're not going to have to feel the burn. On the upper part of the body, we're going to have to focus with strength, probably, right? So very short reps, between 5 and 10 repetition. Initially, you want to be using not to failure, not a super heavy weight, something like 60, 70%, just to give you the gist of it. And then like slowly you elevate. This is how you really personalize a workout, right? This is kind of like what it is. But here, I want to show you something, I guess, probably easier for you to spot, yeah? And the thing that I wanted to show to the, like now we know the difference between machine and free weights. Free weights, it's an additional degree of difficulty, right? How we just go machines and then free weights. And then of course, when you're super advanced, but also not, you don't need to be super advanced in a sense like you doing advanced for a year, also just a few months, then we can build a personalized workout that involves some strength training, a mix of the two. And of course, especially if you go to the gym, then you have, like, for example, like Marcela, I'm thinking here, or Cecilia, or, Dori, or like if you had access to the gym, then we are able to build a mixed workout. Yeah. But one thing that is very important, critical, that I see a lot of people doing in here, even though I'm giving personalized workout inside the app, people still show up in the gym and then they do random exercises, right? Exercise selection, if you're going to look at anything at all, one thing that I would look at is this one here over here, is understand the difference between compound exercise and single joint exercise, or multi-jointed exercise, or a single jointed exercise, right? This is basically what it is, right? A compound exercise is something like a squat, right? I mean, this is hard to read, but the difference is like multi-jointed exercise, you move more than a joint when you do a bench press, because you have the elbow, the neck, the shoulder, and the wrist. And then when you do, for example, an isolated calf extension, you only have one joint moving, which is the one from the calf, right? And of course, this is just a stabilizer on top. So essentially, like, you want to be really focusing on whenever you're starting, especially when you want to lose weight, you want to be focusing on compound exercise. For example, I think, I don't know who was that posted somebody here. We don't even have this exercise over here, the one that you open and close the legs. For a fact, I really like, I don't want to cut my tongue over here, because I'm going to double check if it's not in the person's workout. But for nature, I never put this exercise in there, because like that's a isolated, you're using a muscle inside the legs there, which has a I don't know, a millimeter of diameter. Like you don't burn any calorie with that. You don't need any hypertrophy on that muscle. What you really need instead is really to focus on big component muscle, like stuff like deadlifts. Let me just see if you actually see this thing. Yeah. So you need to focus on stuff like squats, pull-ups, overhead presses, bent over rows, deadlift, something that you move around big muscle, right? And when you're gonna focus on the isolation, then you need to focus on stuff like triceps, biceps. Still, bicep is two muscles, tricep is still made of three muscle, calf, like that. And obviously, you when you do triceps, you use, for example, a tripod extension instead than like whenever you do a tricep extension, like with two arms with a rope, it's much better than do the isolation triceps. I mean, just like when you do this isolation triceps, and of course, how do you choose? It's like if you have a postural dysfunction, for instance, right? If you can't elevate your shoulder up here, and we used to do this when clinical personal training, it's like if you have a hard time like stretching to this way, like I'm like you see, I don't have a lot of mobility. It would be a stupid idea to actually go back and do the one with the rope like that. And the crazy part, if you go to the gym and you see this all the time as well, meaning like you see trainers, you know, put people, they have a hunchback that has this posture over like that, they are all hunched, and then they basically make them like they basically put them in a anti-physiological curve, and then like the day after they're like, oh, the person is like, hey, by the way, I don't feel good, I feel like everything is hurting. It's like, yeah, of course, somebody puts you on an anti-physiological position. So the thing is, like, obviously you want to choose exercise for posture, but you want to be choosing exercise once again, and just comment down below if you're actually getting this. It's like, and usually we make the workout like this for you, right? Like, so if you have this workout, whoever it was, that you do this exercise in there, well, then my apologies, then I need to check what's going on, but usually you should not have this, right? So you want to be going to, let me know if you understand this, like compound movement, right? Those are the big six, right? Push, I mean, squat is a squat. Then you have deadlift is a pull exercise because you're pulling towards you. Bench press is a push because you're pushing away from you. That's an hinge. Again, this is a pull, right? And then this is a push, and then this would be another pull, supported row, right? Or like, that bent over rows as well. Like I said, like this set actually pretty good advice over here, right? 80% should be compound exercise, 20% should be isolation exercise. The biggest miss, and again, let me just show you a little bit more. Compound exercise for the chest, right? We have the push-ups, dips, press. Then you have for the shoulders, any variation of, and the Arnold press, forget about it. This is actually a bad advice. Of this one and this one are bad advice, my opinion. It's like you want to be using all the time like stuff like press. About the press, I'm gonna show you. It's like press is like you should be pressing even when you see this on the gym. It's like this is very anti-physiological. You want to be taking your scapulae, and whatever direction your scapula is normal, whenever you put here, you just go back here. Let me just do it a little bit before. Whenever this starts to feel unphysiological, meaning like whenever you start feeling a pull, this is probably too much you can go, right? And so if somebody's only here, you should stop here. If you go back, you should stop here. By the way, let me know on the comment if this is useful, because what I'm thinking in the future to run a seminar, whether it's going to be in Switzerland or in Sweden, Norway, whatever, and we're going to put one of the things we should put, because the additional value inside somebody's life when you actually online, right, is actually having somebody that shows you this stuff. This is real personal training, not the one person that decided gyms counts your rep. That's useless. Like you can actually don't waste $200, 100 or even 50 euro for that. Just count it yourself. But understanding positioning, posture, how to complete the exercise, which exercise is better for you, right? Not in general. There is no better exercise in general. There is an exercise that is going to be positive and functional for you. Whenever you do pulls, you want to be going to whatever your scapulae natural position, and then you push. That's it, right? The tempo is this. This is what the tempo is about. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you probably hold maybe 1 second. Again, you don't want to go lower than 90, like a little bit lower than 90, but not so much. And then you go up. And there is any kind of tempo. Tempo, again, is on top of the pyramid. You're going to see it later. It's like, 1, 2, 1, 2. This is super fast. You can go 1, 2 on the push, and 3, usually 3 down. And if it's 1 up, it's usually 2 down. If it's 3 up, if it's 2 up, then it's 3 down. The eccentric phase, whatever is like the resistant part, is usually lower, right? For me, this stuff is fun. Like physiology and exercise physiology, when I got the degree, was like super easy stuff. Never is watch. It's so fun. It's like everybody wants to just ego lift or go in the gym and like which exercise is better. And one thing that, in my opinion, is like way overlooked, and we'll just run through it because we're getting closer to the. And let me know if this is actually interesting to you. Finishing off the back compound exercise, we got deadlifts, pull-ups, bent over rows, and then of course leg presses, front squat, back squat. All this is actually good. One thing that I would say is actually pretty kind of like overlooked all the time, or overused, if that makes sense, or kind of like I see, especially in women, it's a lot of exercise with cables. Cables to like legs, like legs in, legs out, pull-ups, kickbacks, and all that kind of stuff. All these little exercises, which is like how do you say, single jointed exercises, or like not complementary, but more so the opposite of the complementary exercise. So it's like you don't want to be using too many cables, or like when you want to put muscle on you don't want to be using cables here, cable that, 300 version of like lounges or whatever. Like it needs to be exercises which are exercises compound for 80%. 20%, yeah, you can do that. And again, that makes a difference when you are like very advanced lifter, like for example, Marcela, like Cecilia, for instance. Those ladies can benefit from more when you want to put muscle on you to that level, stuff like bodybuilding, then you need to use more compound exercise. Also a more single jointed and multi-jointed exercise. To finish this off, again, we have our good pyramid show us that we have the rest period and the tempo, right? The tempo is the one thing I just described before. How do you, for example, if you do this one, what is the tempo? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The tempo is important because, for example, if you do 5 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then it's like 10-second, 1 rep. Okay, and it's good because to create protein synthesis and stimulus, the best stimulus for the muscle, there was some study that shows that you need to do, for example, at least 90 seconds of contraction, right? So we know that if we do 10-second 1 rep, then you have 9 reps, right? If you just do only 5 seconds, then you would need to complete 18 reps, right? And again, this is just like some theory of exercise. Theory of exercise is not a science, therefore it's just theory. And why is that called theory? Is because you want to be testing the theory with you, and then you want to be seeing, for example, one person, Nina, might react very different than Marcela, than Davida, or whatever the case is, with a different theory, right? So this is why it's important what is called theory. The last one is rest set. So we have, for example, if you do a push-up and a pull-ups and there is no rest, that's considered a superset. When you do, and that's a measure of density. The lower the density is, the less the intensity must be. Meaning, like if you do push-up and pull-ups with no rest, chances are you're not going to be able to, well, let's use another example. If you do squat and bench press with no rest, you're going to have to sacrifice the weight. You cannot be doing with 200 kilo one and the other, provided you can actually push any weight. Then you cannot just do one with no rest, right? But for instance, if let's use crazy numbers again, if you do that with 100 kilos, then you do, let's say, 1 minute rest. That's called a jump set. One set, 30 seconds, and then one other set. That's called a jump set. When you just do more than a minute, that's a classical traditional rest period, right? And again, you want to be dosing your rest in between in between whatever the intensity is, whatever the frequency is, whatever the volume is. As you see, it's not as simple as just saying which one is the best exercise. It's a component, right? It's like the perfect routine needs to be very much thought over, needs to be tested, needs to be validated, the hypothesis, and then you need to basically improve. I see with some of you doing very well in here. Like some people are just we don't change the exercise maybe in 3-4 months because the exercise is not super important unless you're telling me, yeah, by the way, can you just send the exercise because I'm getting bored about the exercise. That's of course something that we can do. Creativity is important, but if you if you really how do you say, if you really care about maximum results, understand that usually in the app we have this already chosen exercise, the component, 20-80 ratio, and then we give you this thing just so you can improve on to really target those components, the volume, the frequency, the intensity, so that you get maximum results. Yeah. And again, today is just purely about, we're talking about resistant exercise, weight exercise, either in the gym or in the house, which by the way makes no difference at all. I'm working out from my house effectively like now for years. I don't need a gym. In fact, when I go to the gym, I just waste more time driving there. If you're a person that really loves the gym and really love all the machines, and sometimes I do indeed also need myself some of that. But otherwise, like, you can get an amazing results with just a bunch of dumbbells, with a rack, with a bench, and so forth. Hopefully this was useful. What I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be dropping a few comments in this week. I was thinking like to make new video, but this video is a very good core video that we can gonna put inside a curriculum. But then I'm gonna basically go back in and rewatch the one which I know I put heart and soul into the second chance when we made that. We did break down every single week a component, maybe like 10 minutes each component, right? We have like 30 minutes almost now. And I really feel like that's very useful, right? If you want to see what that looks like, comment and you're gonna get that. And one more time, if you want to really have a chance to actually win the whole thing, the second chance, which is a 20 plus weeks of program course, I'm going to be giving that away one time, probably in October, and one time in November, to the person that score higher into the engagement part of the group. Of course, this requires some work, day by day, consistency, and this is how life works. And obviously, it would be foolish to me to actually give something like that away without any effort. But it was very worth to me doing it and giving it away totally for free for people that actually do the work, because I know that if you do the work, if you engage in the group, if you comment, then basically you're getting what you need. You're getting trainings, you're getting practice, you're getting the fact that you're building a lifestyle. It's gonna become almost like second nature for you to do stuff when you do it for a long time. And this is the biggest thing that we kind of like want to move as an innovative business, meaning like I want to make sure that you're getting a lot of people have access to stuff as long as they actually do the work. So I think like that's good. But with this being said, we got like I think 12 or 13 people showing up inside our mindset call. I'm gonna connect my Zoom now, and I see you all inside. We can already start chatting. I will run a Q&A session afterwards. If you do need to show up, we're gonna have time for you today. And again, when actually a door closes, one opens. Therefore, like right now, we're gonna close this down and we're gonna open the Zoom. And if you wanna jump on here, we're gonna get started in about probably 9 minutes. But of course, if you're jumping in, I see you in there. Coach Jerry here, talk to you soon.